Hello, everybody, and welcome to AI People. Today, we're talking to Alex Polyakov, who is the co-founder at Adversa, which is an AI security platform. Greetings, Alex.
Hey.
So we always kick off the podcast by asking you for a few predictions about the AI industry as a whole. So the first one is, how do you see humans and AI collaborating with regard to work in 5 years' time and in 15 years' time?
Nice start. So I think that, yeah, in 5 years, we most probably will collaborate. Something like we saw in the movies. So we're just like ideally saying what we want, and everything is just done naturally. I think this is where we're heading. But 15 years, gosh, it's like I know it's around to 2040, right? So it's I think that's many people predicting singularity by 2040, at least most of them. So I really think that it will be completely different. We just will have the autonomous entities like AI robots that will be as the same types of people, the same types of entities in society. Like we will have humanoid rights and all of this stuff from the movies. I think that's for sure. And I think even like we definitely will have some AI winter between these 15 years, but in 2040 there's no doubt we will be like close to singularity future.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, next question is when do you, or how close do you think we are to AGI? Do you think that's something that's kind of imminent now, or still the perennial 20 years away?
I think the biggest problem for AGI is the lack of the actual terminology, what we think is AGI, and everyone thinks differently. and also like every time when something is happening with AI technologically, we're just shifting what is AGI to a little bit next level, because we had this Turing test, and AI passed the Turing test like a long time ago, and we're now, no, it's not like AI should be this and that. So every time we're like crossing the next stage, we will say, okay, there is no consciousness in AI, and we have no idea what is consciousness. And yeah, but I think that's but technically AGI is like general intelligence, so not super intelligence. AI should solve every problem at a mediocre level, and we're quite there yet. By some metrics, we may say that's we already here. So yeah, I mean, it just really depends on what we think is AGI. I think it's not clear right now, but it's most probably by next year it will be more clear. But we will see robots actually, hanging out with people. We already see a lot of like humanoid robots. I think it will give much more people understanding that now it's AGI, because it's hard for people say that yes, we have a ChatGPT and it's technically capable of doing anything, but it's hard for people to recognize that it's intelligent being.
Yeah, okay. And in terms of the economy, how do you see AI reshaping like the global economy? Do you think we're going to see more wealth inequality or a narrowing of gaps in opportunity?
That's the, I would say, is people saying $1 billion question or $10 billion question. There are different views on that. So one is obviously, okay, we will have more every technology revolution. We'll delete some jobs, but we'll give other jobs. But the other more thoughtful view is like, okay, but which jobs? Like AI can do everything. Yes, we will still need like people who care about the older people who are making you a haircut because you just come to visit them and hang out, and people to people interaction, all like psychology work. But most of the things clearly will be automated, and yeah, it will be a complex situation in terms of the work for people. I think that it will be much harder to find work.
Okay. And before we jump into Adversa, could you just give us an introduction to your background? You've obviously been a multi-time entrepreneur and investor in cybersecurity for quite a long time.
Sure. I think this all started in the very beginning. My father was a physicist, and my mother were how it's called, natural healer, esoteric natural healer, I would say. So I was surrounded by two completely different types of views about the world, and my aunt were ultra orthodox. So there is the third part to this equation. So from the beginning, I was surrounded by completely different types of views and was trying to understand how the world works. And I think it's naturally brought me to cybersecurity. Basically because I was surrounded by all the computers, and cybersecurity is something where you always can learn something new and research, because in order to break the system, you need to understand how it works. And that's the never-ending loop of curiosity. And yeah, I think that's was super interesting for me. And I went to the university to study cybersecurity, and then joined one of the first red teaming penetration testing companies like a while ago, maybe 20 years ago, and grew there from like an intern to CTO, and we were then spinned off like another startup. So yeah, most of my time I was focused on cybersecurity, and AI was also a part, but not not like right now. I think my bachelor thesis was intrusion detection system with use of machine learning. So
okay, yeah, so
yeah,
20 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so back then, like I've tested like this approach, but at that point of time, I was like, okay, it can catch like, I don't know, like 95% of attacks or something, I don't remember. And I was like, well, it's not the ideal solution. Ideal solution should be 100%. This is what I thought about security back then. Yeah, but some time ago, I realized again that AI should be very important. Yeah, so like fast forward from the all the experience in red teaming and building products and application security. I think around 7 years ago, so we started to use AI for security in our application security platform. We started to use different machine learning algorithms and combination of those algorithms to catch anomalous user behavior and different application attacks. And when we started to use those neural networks, we realized that they by themselves are fundamentally vulnerable. So the way how they work is like you always can create some input in such a way that the output of the network will be as you want. So there were so-called adversarial examples. Maybe if you saw like quite a long time ago, maybe it was actually, yeah, it's around like 10 years plus, when the first computer vision models were created, there were examples of attack when you can change a few pixels in the image of a cat,
Okay,
and
yeah, I
AI will
remember.
think,
Yeah.
yes, AI will think it's a dog. it was a fun example, but we're like, okay, but when AI will be as a core of any solution, of any cybersecurity solution, of any robot, of anything, of any financial solution, it will be the same algorithm. But instead of cats and dogs, you will have like transfer of $1 or $1 million with the same approach, just changing a little bit in the input, and the output will be as you want. And the problem is that it's not like because the AI systems are so complex, and you always can find some input, to manipulate the output. The question is here how hard it will be, but that's a fundamental problem. And when I realized that, okay, when AI will be everywhere, it will be a super important, probably will be the most important question, how we can defend AI, because it will be obviously everywhere. But that at that point of time, there were clear that there is no like a market for AI security because AI is not there. It was only in the beginning of some self-driving cars and maybe computer vision systems like face recognition. So there are only two use cases, basically, self-driving cars and there's face recognition, where an attack can lead to something critical. And we decided that we will start Adversa as a AI research lab focused on security, with an idea that we will learn how attacks work, how to build defenses, and everything from like first principles. And once the market will mature, once it will be clear what type of solution market needs and what is the problem, we will come up with the actual solution and kind of change the direction of the company. And pretty much like OpenAI did, we haven't thought that it will be something similar, but the approach was similar. Let's do some research and figure out what will happen, and then create a company.
And do you want to talk to us about the Adversa solution, the problem that you're solving for customers, and also like how is that problem changing as AI systems are more widely adopted?
Excellent question. Yes. So we're basically helping this AI innovation to happen, because without security, you cannot implement AI. Because most of the chief security officers are management pushing to implement AI, and CISOs are struggling to understand how to protect it. So without proper, and the first step is proper testing of those new applications for security. And it's not something new. So every time the company release new application, it doesn't matter if it's like AI or mobile or cloud, they need to test it. So that's the same thing that should be done with AI. And this is where we help. So we're helping to test AI systems for specific AI vulnerabilities and business specific risks, and help them to defend it and release to production. The biggest difference here, comparing to traditional applications, is that usually with traditional applications, companies like doing red teaming or security testing once in a quarter, because nothing is really changing. And in AI, you cannot do that like once in a quarter. There are three things that are different. So first, AI system is constantly changing. So it's like it's learning based on the inputs, and if you test it today, it will be different tomorrow. So that's one thing. Another thing is that the infrastructure is changing. So by infrastructure, I mean everything, but the most important part is the model itself. So every company that's releasing the public chatbot specific for their business, they use OpenAI APIs. And OpenAI releasing new models like, I don't know, every few months. So each time they release new model, the company need to retest it. And we saw it multiple times that there was one vulnerability in the foundational model. Then they release new version, they close this vulnerability. Then they release new version and this vulnerability works again. you can't predict that. So comparing to traditional application security, you can't be sure that if vulnerability was fixed, it's actually fixed in the new version. So that's the second part. And the third part is the threats landscape is changing like dramatically. We see new types of techniques for jailbreaks, for prompt injection, for any other attacks appearing like multiple times a day. And I remember the time when you were able to read every research paper related to AI security. And then it's changed, like you need 5 people to read every day to read it. Now it's not possible to do by human. You need to use AI to understand all those new threats.
Summarize, yeah.
At least to summarize, but you need to extract all the attacks from that. And so there are 3 things that are completely different from AI applications, and that's why companies need a continuous, never-ending loop of security testing and red teaming. And this is what we're offering to our customers.
And you've chosen to focus on like proactive defense and robustness rather than reactive patching. Like what was the thinking there?
Sure, that's the great question, and that was a lot of discussions and moments when we tried to figure out which way to choose. So there are essentially, like, you can either do proactive testing, or you can do like a firewall approach, some guardrail, and so on. Basically, you need two of them. So it's like 2 things that it's like in the end of security. You need protection, and you need to scanning for vulnerabilities. By being originally like offensive driven, I've led the red teaming company, and we've done a lot of pen tests around the world. We were one of the leading companies in terms of detecting more than 300 unknown zero-day vulnerabilities in the previous company. In Adversa, we are demonstrated a new unknown attacks for all the AI providers within like few hours of its release. So we understood that our natural superpower is offensive part, to know how to break the system. We spent like so many time breaking all types of systems, and when the market became like really mature, we realized that we need to focus, and instead of doing both things, we just choosing to do the red teaming, and we see, and now it's I think it's the guardrails part became a commodity. So every company have some sort of guardrail, but it's not a 100% protection, and you need to enhance it with continuous red teaming. So we're perfectly merging with any guardrail, be it either commercial guardrail or like any open source solution, or any custom guardrail that the companies can create. So we've chosen this part some time ago, and we're happy with that choice right now.
And what type of companies or customers do you see being most engaged in adversarial risk? Is it kind of enterprise companies, governments, or technology companies building their own models?
Oh yeah. Well, it's everyone from what you mentioned are interested, but in different sort of in different ways. Our main focus it's enterprises that build their own AI applications and agents, mostly in like critical industries like technology, financial, healthcare, where the risks are clear. There are also startups that are building those AI applications and agents. They're also interested in security and safety. that's another angle. There's certainly a government part. We have some, but it's not a big part of our customer base. So the enterprises like Fortune 500, maybe 2000, those are the most common types of customers for us.
And in terms of how you see these types of companies approaching like adversarial attacks, do you think they underestimate the risk, or will there need to be kind of a big issue before they take it seriously?
That's quite interesting. It's really changed quite dramatically within, I don't know, like just in this year, or maybe like in like last months, 4 months or something. So initially, yeah, we were like coming to companies and saying, hey, you're releasing this chatbot, and it uses AI, and there are different specific attacks to AI, and there are certain risks. And they were thinking, okay, what is it? Is it a real priority or not? And now it's just completely changed. Like they're coming to us and saying, hey, we're releasing this AI application, and we must release it in production, like in very soon. Like, can you help us to test it, because it's a mission critical for us right now. So everyone is competing with AI. I mean, like most of your podcast is like companies that are building AI, and it's really many things are happening in this area. The other interesting thing is, I would say there are like, the resellers or managed service providers. They used to sell some solutions, any kind of security solutions. So a long time ago, it was quite hard to come to them and say, hey, there is a AI security topic, and they already have a lot of other solutions to sell, and this is like something new for them. It's hard to tell them why they need to invest time and resources for a new business. And now we see that in the opposite, sometimes they're coming to us and saying, hey, we need to sell something to this customer, and when we come and trying to sell like cloud security or something, they don't want to hear us, because it's something old. They're asking, do you have something about AI? So AI can be now and something innovative that they can use to sell the other services, not vice versa. So there's an interesting change happening now.
And do you think it's kind of possible that kind of AI safety will ever be kind of embedded at the foundational layer, like the models themselves, or is it always going to be something that needs to be handled at the kind of application layer?
Oh, that's a great question. So I think basically there are AI safety and AI security things that are quite related but quite different. And it's like much more clear that AI safety, it's a problem of a model provider. So they're building the model, and the model should be safe in certain ways, not recommend how to make a bomb, and I don't know, not be able to penetrate the other system and do some other types of chaos. And there is a security part, and the security part is, okay, you may have a completely safe model, and you as an enterprise, you take this model, and now you build an application, an agent on top of this model. And the agent, it's not just a model, it's a completely different thing. It's you have tools that model can use, you have memory, you have interaction with other agents, you have so many complex technologies on top of the model. So, and the model provider won't be able to protect it anyway. They're responsible for a model. They don't know how this model will be integrated in with the internal APIs of this enterprise company. And this is where the real vulnerabilities exist, not in the model itself, but in the AI agent or the complex application that companies are building. And this application is different, and it's custom and it's specific for enterprise. I think the very simple comparison can be that AI model is like a database in the old way, and on top of the database we're building applications like a website, a web application. And now it's the same thing. There is a AI model like a database and the agent on top of it. And in this logic, it's clear that there is of course, databases should be secure, but that's the problem of people building databases. And then applications should be secure. And that's the problem of a company that is actually building this application or agent. And we see actually a split between, like, there are startups that are building more focused on AI safety and their customers are foundational models. And there are companies that are building AI security and their customers are enterprises that implement agentic AI.
And when we think about buyers in this space, when they're talking to AI security companies, do you think there are any questions that they should be asking and which perhaps they're not at the moment?
What do you mean by
So, in terms of like the customers, like CISOs in these companies, when they're talking to AI security companies, what should they be thinking about and what questions should they be asking?
Questions to companies like ours.
Yeah, right? or kind of other companies in the cybersecurity space, yeah.
Yeah, AI security or any...
Yeah, kind of on the AI side, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's there are different areas that can be interesting for them. I think it's important to understand, like, what is the underlying background technology for this particular vendor, because, like, we are, for example, we are building our own research lab and constantly finding new types of vulnerabilities, so we're pretty much aware how the thing works. So there is there are quite a lot of companies right now in this space, and yes, one of the differences is that the actual technological advantage of the solution. The other part is, like, they're interested in how solution is tailored to their needs. Mm-hmm. So every enterprise and type of application, there are different industries, different types of applications, and if the AI security solution, it's not specifically customized for every application, it just can be like a checkbox that's testing, okay, this and that vulnerability, but it's not really trying to simulate the actual attack for this particular industry or use case. So that's also very very important to them. Yeah, and the other thing I think is, like, the forward, like, I don't know, mission innovation, and, like, okay, like, everyone is doing it, like, but how you are prepared for the next step of AI innovation, because we had, like, AI security for traditional computer vision systems, then we changed for Gen AI and chatbots. Now we have agents. We'll have robots, I think, next year. Something else will happen in the future. So how this company will evolve through all of those changes, and if they're just appeared right now and saying, like, we're just focused on AI agent security and we've never been in this industry before and we haven't tried to test traditional AI, there is a question: will they be able to innovate and be able to test the next AI, whatever it will be?
And is it like typically security teams who are engaging most with you in conversation, or is it ML teams? Like which kind of side is kind of most interested in this?
It's not that obvious. It's like AI is evolving area, it's changing so rapidly in different areas. But I'll say that initially it was more of a AI part. They were the first to understand that there are specific risks, and at least the AI safety part was clear, and it's where it's all started. And but now it's more and more became a part of security team's responsibility. Yeah, it's just like the problem became more clear. The applications, because previously it was more like a model, then it became a chatbot, which is okay, there is some safety and security features, and now it's agent. Okay, now it's like much more AI, cybersecurity specific things. So it's much more like a traditional application, but with some AI stuff. But it still depends on the company. I know the company size. Like if they have, in ideal company, there is an AI security team that's focused on that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's been great having you on today, Alex. If people want to get in touch and discuss more, like what's the best way to reach you? Are you on LinkedIn, X? Where do you spend most of your time?
Sure. I mostly on LinkedIn, and if people will want to learn more about like what we do, we have a great blog on our website where we constantly update people with the latest, digest on everything related to AI security. We have different digest for every part of like agentic AI, Gen AI, etc. And we were doing that since the very beginning. So it's probably the biggest database of resources related to AI security, categorized by, I don't know, like for CISOs, for developers, for red teaming, everything. So I believe it's probably the best resource to dive in if you want to learn more.
Yeah. Okay. Great stuff. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you to everybody watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of AI People coming soon.